Hello everyone and welcome to another video. My name is Lance and today we're taking a bit of a look at the alpha version of Dark Souls 3. Now I must say that for everything I'm going to be able to show you here, there is a lot of data missing. So there will be massive gaps in maps where pieces were deleted or changed too much before the game was finished, but I will do my best to explore as much as I can and take you along for the journey. With that said, let's begin. So to start with, we can see this massive coffin that isn't present in the final game right near the map's starting area. The coffin we usually emerge from in the game's introduction isn't on the ground here either. As we go forward, we see a dramatically different enemy placement and a whole different type of enemy present as well. None of the messages on the ground here have text associated with them that I was able to retrieve, unfortunately. The back path leading to Lothric Castle appears to be the same as usual. Now, I have gone ahead and disabled enemy AI for this area, but I can assure you that these enemies typically just attack in a fairly normal manner as you proceed through the area. There's a crystal lizard here that doesn't drop an item, and there's no ashen Estus flask near this font. The enemy layout is mostly the same, with just minor changes overall. There's still a crossbow enemy right near the main path forward. There's one procedurally generated message here that still works. Heading down the path where we'd normally meet the game's early giant crystal lizard, we instead encounter a dramatically different enemy. Heading forward, we start to see quite a few missing chunks of geometry, with the distance being completely devoid of scenery, and some of the path forward missing various rocks and parts of the path. The enemy layout, as before, is slightly different. This path that usually presents a minor difficulty to the player looks like it's meant to just have an item at the end, but there's nothing here as is. Heading back up toward the first boss encounter, the map design has changed a lot at the last minute, meaning large chunks of the entrance aren't able to be loaded, so we can only guess as to what it looked like here, unfortunately. Despite being fairly glitchy, the encounter with the judge plays out as you'd expect. His health bar doesn't appear sometimes though. He does perform his normal mid-battle transformation, it just doesn't occur here as I've disabled the enemy AI. There's no bonfire here after defeating him. Moving forward, we're missing the correct door asset for this part and the placeholder one doesn't open, so I'll need to warp past it. The path towards Firelink Shrine, apart from some slightly different enemy designs, doesn't hold many differences. The enemy that usually guards the back entrance is not here, and there's no gate to stop you from exploring this small area. Heading inside Firelink Shrine, there's too much geometry missing to freely explore, as this area had huge chunks deleted and changed before shipping. But I am able to show you that the Firekeeper was originally standing at the end of this hall, just as she is when we see her praying in the game's opening CGI. Speaking to her grants you the point forward gesture. She has some conversation options that are missing texts, and as usual, she can level up your character. There's very little else that I was able to load in this area for now, and we can't explore particularly far without falling into the abyss. Let's jump over to the area's second state, which we would have called Untended Graves in the final game. In the alpha, this darkened version is just an alternate state of the same area. Still called Cemetery of Ash, but specifically Eclipse state. The most obvious difference in the Eclipse is the massive number of Black Knights scattered across the map. We still see this large flaming demon in the place of the crystal lizard here. The encounter with the Udex plays out just as before. And as once again we need to walk past this door that doesn't work correctly. As before, the path to Firelink Shrine is basically what you'd expect, with some very minor differences to enemy layout. We still can't explore Firelink Shrine in too much detail, as inside is exactly what we found in the earlier non-Eclipse version of the area. However, let's warp over to the back area now and we can travel to the bell tower. The giant tree doesn't seem to do anything, and weirdly, we get this Lord Vessel message in front of the gate here. The gate is never locked in the alpha, despite there being a message here. The message is leftover text from Dark Souls 1 that's being called in, and it's impossible to know if they chose that message ID as a coincidence, or because in the alpha perhaps ascending the tower leads you on the path towards the end game. Once we get into the elevator room, a lot of the design for the area isn't loading, but we can still ascend all the way to the bell at the top. Interestingly here, the bell can be rung and a cutscene will play. Unfortunately, I only have the cutscenes from the final version of Cemetery of Ash, so we can't see exactly how this cutscene was meant to play out in the alpha. But it might be safe to assume that ringing the bell was meant to open the path towards the end game, especially considering the choice of text that pops up after the cutscene plays. Now there is a third variant of this area in the alpha called Last Boss, and no, it's not the unlit kiln we see in the final game. That map doesn't exist in the alpha. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to load the third variant yet, so we're going to leave it here for now. If you enjoyed this video, please let me know by hitting the like button or leaving a friendly comment below, and if you'd like to stick around as I explore, to the best of my ability, all the other areas from Dark Souls 3's alpha, be sure to subscribe. I've also created a Discord to which you can find a link in the description, as well as other ways to follow me for a behind the scenes look at how I create these videos. In the meantime, thanks for watching and I'll see you next time.